How you doing? This is Sean McVay, Sean's Outdoor Adventures. In this video, I'm going to show you a scouting trip I did really quick in the beginning of September. And I want to also mention that I'm giving away a Dragon XA compound bow as well as a Velocity 10X by Sanlita. A bow a week from now till Christmas. I'm also giving away a tethered Phantom hunting saddle. This one's mine, but I'll be giving away a brand new one with a set of ropes. Go to the giveaways page on my website now. Let's jump into the action. I drove several hours in the spirit of the map reading challenge. I've digitally scouted this. I'm gonna blast through. I got there late at night on like a Friday night. I checked it out right before dark for about a half hour, then a little bit in the morning, and then I drove home. So here's the action.
I'm on a rush scouting some public land in Iowa, and standing in a nice buck bed right here, overlooking this. There's a drop off down to a creek bed here. It's a really good spot for a buck, so I'm going to mark it in my GPS and keep going. Here's another bed, 20 yards uphill, and that oak tree right there is awesome because all those little branches give cover. If I get up about 20 feet, I'll be able to get them coming to or from this bed. And that tree is between these two buck beds. Scouting public land right now, September the 5th. Big buck bed right here. There's a main trail going in this way, a couple going escape routes out that way. Major drop off. I'm on the top side of a spur, so major drop off here, and then about 40 yards that way there's a major drop off. It would be very difficult to get here and set up before a buck in the morning. I'm pretty far back, but I'm going to mark it in a GPS and keep it as an option. Also, I'm wearing a bright shirt today because I started doing that a few years ago on some of these long hunts and scouts and stuff. If anything happens to me on the scout trip and people need to come looking for me, I don't want to blend in camo. A lot of people scout in camouflage. For safety reasons, I scout with a bright shirt usually now when I can, and that would make it easier for them to find me if something happens to me. Just something for you to think about. I mean, I'm scouting over about a month before the season, so if I spook a deer, so what? I'd rather risk spooking a deer because I'm wearing a bright shirt than risk not being able to be found if I get hurt. Alright, I'm probably a good quarter mile or more, half mile from the last deer bed. I just found another deer bed right here on the top of a ridge, and there's a blown down tree right here, so deer can lay right here. They're protected behind themselves, and they can watch out this way. The sun's coming up, the southeast is over there, so as the sun comes up, there's a ridge, a side that drops off here, creates a thermal. There's also a natural prevailing wind that comes from this direction. You can see where the buck has pawed at the ground a little bit there. It's a pretty good sized bed. And there's a couple of escape routes in and out. Major trail comes in here over that way. And there's, you couldn't even hunt this deer because there's all this stuff in here, like all this little brushy stuff. All these here, you couldn't get up in a tree and shoot down into here. There's really no way to hunt this exact spot. You'd have to figure out which way the deer's going to come that day and catch him on the way. And that's the challenge. Alright, this is what I was expecting. So the buck bed is 5 yards on the other side of the camera. And here is a rub from last year. It's about a week before the rubs start this year. But typically bucks will get up out of their bed and walk a few yards, make a rub. Sometimes they'll make a rub right before going the bed down. But this definitely gives more probability that is a buck bed over a doe bed. But certainly a good looking spot right here. I mean, this buck rub isn't enormous by any means, but it's all about real estate. And with deer, multiple bucks will bed in the same bed. I had a trail camera set up last year. It wasn't a bedding area, and it was actually a travel corridor, but right basically the end of August, a buck laid down in front of that camera, and then several other bucks came and bedded in that same spot over the following couple weeks, including that buck. So the bucks turned it into a bedding spot right in front of my trail camera while I had it on, and they never did that before. And you could see the ground before they started bedding there, and then after it was all matted down after they started using it for bedding. But anyway, it's all about real estate. So, you know, this buck rub isn't necessarily a huge buck rub, but that doesn't mean anything other than bucks are here, they're using this area, and there's a nice sized bed right there 5 yards away. There's the blowdown that their back is up against. They like to put their back up against those blowdowns. It's just protection from behind them. I couldn't shoot an arrow through the blowdown to get them. We are their primary predators, so their habits compensate for protection from humans. I'm about 7 yards past that rub, and there's an orange reflector tack in this little trunk here. It looks like it's from last season. Could even have been this year. Someone put it in this year. There's no rust on it yet, so usually they rust after a couple of years. There's another buck rub right there, about 6 yards from the other one. So someone's going through here. That could obviously mess up if I get a setup here. The woods open up a little bit right in here, so if the deer are coming toward the bed this way, I'd be able to get a shot at them maybe. I might even sit this spot the first weekend of the season just to sit it in the morning. It looks really good right here. Lots of thick cover, you know, all through here is very thick. So hard to get shots. Over here it thins out. And in that direction, off in the distance, is some crop fields about a mile away, so they could be coming back from that in the morning to bed down. But I really think this has a lot of potential here. It's quiet back in here. Clearly other hunters come back here. There's a lot of people nowadays who are willing to put in the work, walk far distances to get a crack at a good deer. So I'll be up against some hunting pressure. Hopefully early in the season I might be able to catch a buck on a regular pattern coming to bed in the morning, and who knows, we'll see. This is a cool spot though. I'm going to keep it on the top of my list for the season. Alright, I've walked another 40 yards from where that reflector tack is, and I just caught a glimpse of a blue ratchet strap down through the woods over there. I'll go check out the person's setup. At least I know where they're at. It looks like this could even be like maybe a gun setup, because this ladder here, I'll turn so you can see it. There's a homemade looking ladder right here. It's only about 10 feet high, and it's kind of near the top of a draw. Really not at all a good archery spot, so that'd be another reason. But if you had a gun, you'd be able to maybe see down in there when the leaves are down. And then on the top side of the hill here, where I just walked off of, it opens up right here, so you could see up in here, especially when the leaves are down. All the understory has been eaten by the deer here, so it's kind of wide open, and when you're walking through there, it's pretty clear. So I'm thinking this might be a gun spot. And if you look at this tree, where the top of the ladder is cleared out right here, where you could be in a stand, but above that it'd be good for archery to put a stand up there. You'd be kind of hidden in the leaves, but I would assume this person puts a hang on right there and hunts with a gun. That's good for me though, for archery. Okay, I just found a spot that I would like to sit during the rut, if I still have a tag by then, and especially in the morning. Now the tree is right over there, and I'm just going to turn for a sec The sun is directly behind the tree. I'm standing on the major deer trail right here. The deer trail runs this way, and there's a major scrape right over there. You can still see from last year. And it's the only one I've come across on this ridge. And this is a major travel corridor. There's like draws and stuff coming in here. So I know this is like a key spot. That tree right there is there's no cover around the tree, but especially in the morning, a deer is not going to be able to look up right at the sun like that. So that's actually going to be my cover. I'm just pointing this out to you. But another thing to be mindful of is, where is your shadow going to be cast? Because if your shadow is going to be right where the deer trail is, they might catch a little movement from that and get spooky. But anyway, right there is going to be that tree right there, nice straight tree. I can get up in that nice and easy with either my saddle setup or even my climber, but I don't think I'd want to carry my climber all the way back here. It's a very far walk in. Here's the major trail that comes across. Now the scrape itself is right here. Here's the scrape from last year. Overhanging limb here. I would not have a shot to the scrape, but I'm okay with that because this is their major travel corridor. And if they're going to a scrape, they're also going to be receptive to calling probably. So even if the buck was to turn and go off in a direction where I didn't have a shot first, I could still try to get a grunt in on them, or a snort wheeze, or any kind of a call, bleat. This is a good rut spot right here.
Well, folks, thanks for tuning in. I am very much a little disappointed as I put this video together, because it's been about a month. I've been anxiously wanting to hunt that buck bed by the blowdown tree on the top of a ridge. And the wind that they're calling for this weekend, which is when I'm finally going to get to go hunt there, is the worst possible direction. I am not going to go there and mess that spot up. I've analyzed the maps, and there is a place I can go to in a different area on that public land that looked okay, but definitely not my first choice. But it is the only thing that I have that I laid eyes on that would work with the predicted wind direction. Of course, that could change. There's a couple days left before the weekend gets here, but I can't wait to get out in the woods this week. The season opens actually tomorrow here in Iowa, the regular season. I won't be able to get out, though, until Friday evening, and I'll be driving several hours to get to the spot to see what happens on the public land in the state of Iowa. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, take care, God bless, and get in on the giveaways on my website, Sean'sOutdoorAdventures.com. Get in on the giveaways. It's all free for you. God bless.